Hello and welcome back. I'm in the office today because I can't go flying this weekend. We had a big snowstorm here in Dallas and everything is closed down. Obviously, I'm a BFR pilot, so I cannot fly and be in IFR conditions. So I wanted to take some time, come to the office studio and share my thoughts on a maneuver that I like to practice to help me stay sharp, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that maneuver as well. I've started doing this after I got my pilot's license because it changes things a little bit. Rather than go to one airport and stay in the pattern and do 10, 15 touch and goes, I normally like to do that, but I also like to do things where I change things around and go from one airport to two or three airports, maybe four or five, and change things around so that I can stay doing the touch and goes at the various airports, but also practice getting the weather, communicating with departure, with approach. I will ask for flight following from the airport that I leave. Normally is Addison, and then go from Addison to Denton, then from Denton to Meacham, then from Meacham to Dallas Executive, and then back to Addison. So today I'm going to show you on the iPad using ForeFlight what I like to do and the reasons why I like doing that. You're going to see that going from the different airports is usually the flight is usually between 15 to 30 minutes max. Probably fly that in 15 minutes. We'll put that here on ForeFlight so you can see the actual flight. But I like to change things around. So I may fly from Addison to Denton to Meacham to Executive and back to Addison. But then I may switch it around and then fly from Addison to McKinney, Denton, Meacham, and then back to Addison. So it's a combination of the various airports around the Dallas Metroplex because it's Class Bravo airspace and you have to talk to the various approach and departures. You also have three rings, the different rings of the different altitude for Class Bravo. So if you're not clear into the Bravo after departing from the different airports, you have to be very, very careful that you don't bust that airspace. So I'm going to share my screen and talk to you a little bit about that. And hopefully you find this maneuver interesting in when you're doing your practice. So I start out of this airport, which is Addison, and what I have been doing is flying from Addison to Denton. Typically this is about a 15-minute flight, maybe less, depending on weather and whatnot. And then I fly back. From there, I fly to Meacham, which is over here. So I would fly from there to Meacham. And then from Meacham, I would fly to Dallas Executive, which is over here. Let me find it. This is Grand Prairie, Dallas Executive over here. So I would fly from there to here. All right, so I go from and then back to Addison. If I put that in ForeFlight, I do KADS, KDTO, KFTW, and then KRBD. And then back to, you can see the total flight is about 39 minutes, so 40 minutes. So it's actually about 10, 15 minutes, give or take, when you're doing your landings. So it's not a long pattern, but normally I would do, 3 touch and goes in Denton, 3 touch and goes in Meacham, 3 touch and goes at Dallas Executive. And Dallas Executive, both Meacham and actually all 3 airports have two runways. The only exception is Addison. Those 3 airports will have both 2 runways. Denton has 2 runways, Meacham has 2 runways, and then Dallas Executives has 2 runways. Denton and Meacham have parallel runways. So you'll have, 16 right, 16 left, and then on Meacham you have 16 and 17, But Dallas Executive, they have, the runways are not perpendicular, but they're not parallel to each other. So you have to make a decision which one you're going to land in, or they will ask you in most cases which one you want to land in, or they can tell you, use this runway. So I like going to these different airports out of Addison just because it helps you stay focused, helps you remember to talk to different, like departure and approach. And also you have to remember to get the weather. So within 10 minutes, you are doing a lot of things. You're, talking to approach, talking to the tower, getting the weather. You have to be able to quickly change your frequencies and prepare at the various airports before going to the next. So I leave Addison, go to I leave Addison, go to Denton, do 3 touch and goes there. At the same time, I'm asking for fly following on the way there, or maybe ask ground at Addison for fly following. Go to Denton, get the weather, talk to tower, and then land. Then, do the 3 touch and goes. Now, I normally would stop, set up all my frequencies, then go to Meacham, do the same thing. Talk to approach, talk to departure, talk to get the weather, because they're going to ask you for weather, and then talk to the tower at Meacham, and then land. Do 3 touch and goes, then stop, set your frequencies, and then go to Dallas Executive. The one thing I would caution you about is, you see this part over here. If you're not careful, let me put this in purple. If you're not careful, you can bust this airspace if they haven't cleared you into Class Bravo. Here, they're gonna likely give you some clearance into Bravo, or they may tell you stay at a certain altitude. And so it's not so critical here, in Addison, as it is over here when you're going from Meacham to Dallas Executive. So this is why I like this maneuver, because it allows you to not only talk to approach, departure, the towers, get the weather, but you also have to be considering your altitudes, because it will careful enough. If you're not careful enough, it will bite you. And so you want to be careful not to bust that airspace. And so that's the pattern that I've been practicing. I think what I'm going to be doing is also, switching it up a little bit, going from Addison, to McKinney, going from Addison to McKinney. Let me put that in green. Let me clear this one. Going from Addison to McKinney, which is up here, flying that, and then maybe going backwards, go to Mesquite, which is up here, fly this route here, then go to Dallas Executive, and then backwards, go to Denton, and then back to, you can either go to McKinney and then back to Addison. So it's a combination of multiple airports that allow you to stay in communication with departure, approach, the towers, getting the weather, and then also staying, doing the touch and goes that you're required to do. If you just go to one airport and you do 15 touch and goes, that is your practice maneuver. And I started doing that when I was starting to fly. I did that a lot. I remember one day I spent with my CFI maybe an hour and a half just doing touch and goes. I think we did 15, 16 touch and goes. That day was a long day. It was on a 172, so it didn't have air conditioning, wasn't on the Cirrus. And it was kind of boring, after a while it felt like I was tiring and it was boring. So what I proposed to the CFI is, why don't we go to a different airport and go to various different airports. And so now that I have my pilot's license, I like to switch it up a little bit. I will definitely go to one airport and do 4, 5, 6 touch and goes, but I also like to go to the other airports. And this maneuver that I'm talking about helps you stay focused, helps you stay in communication with the different towers and the different departure and approach, and also know your surrounding frequencies, because you have to write them down beforehand. Otherwise, in 10 minutes, you're not going to be looking up those frequency on a Cirrus. No matter how good you are, it's gonna require a little bit of time. And 10 minutes from flying from one airport to the other is not enough. So I highly recommend that you fly something like this. Maybe where you are, you don't have a Class Bravo, Class Bravo airspace with multiple. Let me switch over. Let me take this off. With multiple airports. Maybe you're out in a place where you don't have a lot of Class Bravo airspace, but if you could, and this is available to you, I highly recommend that you do this, because it will prepare you. It will prepare you to stay sharp and on your feet all the time. You have to know your frequencies. You have to know your airports. You have to know your TPA, and then you will practice your touch and goes there. I think that will be a lot better than just going to one airport and just doing a bunch of touch and goes there. And the nice thing about Dallas Executive, again, it's, Denton and Meacham, the runways are parallel. Mesquite only has one runway, so you don't have an issue there. But Dallas Executive has two almost perpendicular runways. So you have to pick in advance which one you're gonna land in, and if not, the tower is gonna tell you. But it will prepare you for real life flying. And so I just wanted to get in here and tell you a little bit about my experience flying with this approach, because it does keep you sharp, and I highly recommend it. Anyways, on the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about cross country and how to prepare for that. So stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It helps me. We're growing. I'm trying to do about one video per week, but sometimes you get too busy and may not have a chance. We put the studio together, so hopefully you enjoy the fact that I can share my iPad and ForeFlight in the background, and also put it here on the. Let me take this off. Put it here on the video. Maybe in another video I'll cover this whole setup, which is pretty cool. And go over how I make those videos. But anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, go ahead and give it a like. We'll see you on the next one.